Before you teach your first lesson, before you enroll your first student, before you grow a studio or a career, there is a professional threshold that you must meet. And this video is not about motivation, it's about readiness. So whether you're joining Presto Music School and starting our dynamic music teacher training system, whether you're joining us for your teaching diploma or teaching independently, these are non-negotiable foundations of professional music teaching. And this induction is based on decades of real teaching, real systems, and real responsibility. It's been shaped in classrooms, not boardrooms, and refined by thousands of students, teachers, and families. Hi, if we've not met, my name is David Jones. I'm the director of Presto Music School. If you haven't started your Presto teacher training and you'd like free downloadable induction systems and packs with all the safeguarding, guidance, frameworks and resources that are mentioned here, you can download it using the link below. Okay, Module 1. Professional responsibility and safeguarding. In all of this section that we're going to go through, you will see that this is the high level stuff. The full detail is in the download, but this will give you the core elements that you need. Teaching starts with a duty of care. Have you read and understood your school's safeguarding policy? It is fundamental to the students being in a safe environment. Do you understand your legal responsibilities where you teach? For example, which country or which jurisdiction you are under? And do you know how to recognize, record, and report concerns? Safeguarding isn't optional, it's foundational. And why would we start here? Why do we start right at the beginning with safeguarding? Well, first, because it's common sense and it's right. Safety always comes before progress. But second, it isn't theory. At Presto Music School, we've taught over 20,000 students and we've delivered over 7,000 exams with a 98% pass record and 99% in the last 700. The majority of all these are merits and distinction. And that matters. But what matters more is that students stay, that they are safe. Enjoyment comes first, but confidence comes first. And feeling safe and understood comes first. And that's why our curriculum is used internationally, which is a great honour. And that's why our systems are recognised by exam boards, Rock School being a key partner for Presto Music School. And this is why our teacher training is published with the support of the outstanding team at Alfred Music. This induction exists because the results mean nothing without responsibility. Make sure that you have downloaded that pack below and followed all the materials in there. Make sure you've read it and that you understand it. Next, teaching is not performance with explanations. We've got to have a level of professional conduct and teacher identity. So what do we mean by it's not just performance with explanations? You've got to know what you're doing. You are a professional with authority and influence, and your behavior sets emotional and learning norms. The students are going to learn so much from you, not just music. Boundaries are part of care, not distance. What I mean by this is that you've got to get used to the whole idea of personal body space. You've got to make sure that, we're not too keen on holding hands. The amount of times that I've seen in other YouTube videos, and you see teachers getting hold of student hands. By design of our lessons, we can train ourselves and use Presto systems, yes, of course, by using simple things like magic pointing pencil. Do it with a pencil to point to the place that you need. Can you imagine how a student feels to have somebody that they don't know so well getting hold of their hand? And by the same token, what message are we sending out? There has to be a level of, yes, of course, a friendliness. Students aren't going to learn from people that they don't like or trust, but by the same token, that level of professionalism has to exist. So please make sure that you are respectful of your students, that you understand about personal body space, both theirs and yours. And that way we'll be teaching in a much safer environment for all. Module 3, personal presentation and cleanliness. Students and parents notice everything. Clean clothing, hygiene, breath, hands, grooming matter. This might sound like an uncomfortable subject, but it's got to be said. We need to make sure that we're turning up to lessons to teach. We've got to make sure we are clean, we are presentable, we are professional, we are dressed in a manner that is suitable for the environment that you're teaching in. Illness management is professional responsibility. Don't go turning up for lessons if you're really not fit to do so. That does nobody any favors. And trust begins before teaching begins. What does it say about you as a person, as a teacher, if you are scruffy, if you have poor nail hygiene, for example? All these things form a picture in the mind of the student and the customer and the parents and the families. And to that end, presenting yourself in the most professional light is going to put you in the best possible place to make a great success of your teaching career. Module 4, studio cleanliness and health and safety. The room teaches before you do. Instruments, floors, cables, seating and exits must be safe. Do you have trailing wires? Do you have cables that are going across the floor where they shouldn't? Have you got trip hazards? Have you got things that children can put their fingers into that they shouldn't? For example, the doors. Is there safety guards where they need to be appropriate for the studio that you're teaching in? Poor environments undermine good teaching. Can you imagine if you were the student and you came to somewhere that was smelly, dirty, scruffy looking, papers everywhere, and so on? It sets the tone of the type of environment and the quality of tuition that the student feels that they're going to expect from you. It all builds trust. Would you open a bank account with a bank where when you went in, there was stuff everywhere, it smelt funny, the staff were unkempt, and so on? Safety is silent when it is done well. Bear this in mind. Issues are the things that we can spot quite easily. If we can get our safety issues in line so that there are none, they disappear. Module 5, personal body space and physical boundaries. We alluded to this before, but physical guidance must be rare, visible, and justified. Consent and safeguarding always comes first. So for example, if you've got a student who really is struggling and you need to move their chair, for example, I've done it many times in class where we've got a 4-year-old who really just does not look comfy on the stool and the parent hasn't picked it up. The parent is sat there and I've said to them, do you mind if I move their chair? No, not at all, it's fine, is the common response. But don't just go and move a student, for example. Be aware of these body spaces. Great teachers design solutions that avoid touch, as I said before, magic pointing pencil. Boundaries protect everyone, and that of course includes yourself. Module 6, core teaching competence and scale. You must be secure in what you teach. If you're teaching at Presto, you've already gone through an induction process whereby we have interviewed you, we have auditioned you, and we've seen that you can play to the requisite level, and then teacher training continues. But if you are teaching around the world using the dynamic music teacher systems, as this course is, then make sure you are ready to teach from a perspective of the quality of your own playing in the subject that you are wanting to teach. You cannot teach skills that you do not understand. I don't teach foreign languages that I do not speak. Makes perfect sense, I'm sure. Introduce scale as the core teaching framework to yourself. Think about this. Scale, S for start. We're going to start you teaching straight away, and we're going to help you to connect and apply along the way so that you can leverage and elevate scale. You can leverage and elevate your teaching skills so that you can maximize your teaching career. But it all starts with start. And think about this. Once you start teaching, you're applying the theory that you learn here. And that application is the thing that will help you to accelerate exponentially in your skills as a teacher. But you have to get to a minimum level of confidence and competence in the materials that you're going to teach, because otherwise you're on shaky ground. If you have any questions with regards to raising the bar, raising the level of your own playing, whether it's theory, whether it's oral, whether it's composition, whether it's practical, whatever it may be, get in touch. We can help you. All the links are in the download pack below. Remember, our training exists to close gaps, not to hide them. Let's make sure that we're aware of what the gaps and weaknesses are in our skill sets so that we can improve them all the more. Module 7, curriculum awareness. You must know what you're going to teach next. Progression matters more than pieces. Do your students feel as though they're making progress? Can you demonstrate to them how they are making progress? If they don't feel it, what's the point? If you can show them 3 weeks ago you couldn't do this and now, but you need to know what that next step is. Success must be defined at every point so that the students can see that I've gone from this level to this level to this level and so on. That's why a curriculum, that's why a course book itself is great when the students are working through it and the way it's designed. Check out the Presto systems if you wish, but those systems are designed so that the students themselves can see how well they're doing and the specific areas that they're making progress. Improvisation is not curriculum. You can't just wing it. How are the students progressing? Have they developed their technique? Have they developed their improvising skills? And so on. Module 8, lesson structure and time management. Every lesson needs a clear start, focus, and close. When we show you in full how our teaching systems work, you will see most fundamentally, yes, of course, we have building rapport of fundamental importance. That building rapport is the bit where the students begin to connect with you truly, where they start to like you, where they start to trust you, and then they will listen to you, and then they will learn from you. Without that, the whole thing falls apart. And then we have our 3-point plan. We're going to do some technical work. We're going to do some course work stuff to move them along so that they know that they're getting better. And then we're going to do some fun stuff at the end. And it's possible that they're all wrapped up together. So for example, maybe we're going to do the new Harry Styles track or insert name of song here. But the point is that maybe the scale that they learnt at the beginning for the technical work was the scale of the key that the piece is in. And then maybe for the course stuff, maybe we're going to do a new strumming pattern if it's guitar. Maybe we're going to do a new left-hand accompaniment pattern if it's piano or keyboard. Maybe we're going to do a new chord, whatever the case may be. That's the course element. And then the fun stuff is the thing that the student wants to do. Fun doesn't have to be separated out of lessons from the perspective of, we'll leave the fun to the end. It can run all the way through. That creates engagement. That creates long-term value, LTV, of the student to you and to them. It's a mutual benefit. Time must be shaped, not filled. And that means that you know specifically what you're going to move on to next. Keep it moving. Very, very important. Keep those lessons moving. Structure creates freedom. Because if you know that you're going to go from here to here to here to here, if you know what's coming next, then you can easily move to the side on that because you know what you're moving to the side from. It's no good just guessing all over the place. If we're working through a set process, then that creates the freedom to be able to move wherever you wish, because drift kills progress. So we know what our 3-point plan is going to be. At the beginning of the lesson, let's tell them what we're going to teach them, then teach them, then tell them what we taught them. Like the news, you have the headlines, then the main stories, and then you have a summary. And the intro works as a way to gain interest, as a hook to the lesson, to frame the lesson. Then the content gives you the main body of the lesson. And then a recap helps them to remember what it is that they've done. And it acts as a reminder, a refresher, revision of the material that they've done to help them to keep it in their medium to long-term memory. We have a fundamental system at Presto we refer to as SEDPOF, S-E-D-P-O-F, SEDPOF. Set the scene. For any given activity, let's very quickly set the scene. Today we're going to do a scale of C. Why would we learn our scales? Because it helps you to get your fingers around the piano keyboard, and it also helps us to look at the chords that we might use in that key as well. So you could do a quick exercise on the scales, and then a quick exercise on the chords, and then move on. So set the scene. Why are we learning this? Because, and then explain. E is for explain. Explain what it is that we are doing. This is what the scale of C is. When we demonstrate, D is for demonstrate. When we demonstrate the material itself, the students can physically see what's going on. P is for perform. They're now going to perform that very, very short segment. Don't give them tons and tons to do. Just say, so we've done a scale of C. Can you just show me the first 3 notes? Show me where to put your hand. Where are those first 3 notes, for example? You now observe their performance of it and feedback. Now, in our teacher training systems, the timing and the structure of all this feedback is gone to in great length. This is just the fundamental part of how all this stuff comes together. And SEDPOF forms a massive integral part of how we teach, but the phasing and the structure of your feedback is critical. Don't be too keen to jump in and correct. Always start with something positive. I loved your enthusiasm. I loved the way that you wanted to play this straight away. Let's make sure that we have our thumb in the right place before we start. So there you can see maybe the student's done something wrong, and I've praised them for their enthusiasm. And we'll come to that in a second, more on that in a moment. But then said, but now let's have a look at getting our hands ready in the right place. The alternative would have been, that was terrible because you played it wrong, because your hand was in the wrong place. And now the student's just becoming disengaged. And that disengagement is a killer for lessons. How are you going to teach long term and build that confidence with your students if you're always shooting them down? Positivity is a wondrous thing in class. Module 9, communication with parents and guardians. Clear professional language builds trust. Make sure that, for example, especially if you've got younger students, be there at the door to say hi in professional tone, professional language. That doesn't mean not friendly. It just means that there's an element of decorum that you would expect if you were at school. Put yourself back at school. Think about your very, very best teachers that you respected and loved the most. Who did you admire? Or if school wasn't a great experience for you, who in the world do you look up to? Be that kind of person in school so that you will become a great role model for your students. Now, boundaries prevent conflict. So for example, if you're going to ensure that at the end of the lesson, at the last sort of 5 minutes, that is when you're going to speak to parents, then let that be the case. Don't allow parents to just come in when it's outside the realm of what you've set up in your class. If a student is concerned or upset or anything like that, then make sure that the students and the parents know that this is a safe space. Of course, the parents can come in if there's concerns. Safety and safeguarding, health and safety first and foremost. But at the same time, make sure that you have clear boundaries when you are in class with the safeguarding of the children under your control. Make sure that you speak with authority so that the parents gain the trust in you to know that if their wonderful child is misbehaving in any shape or form, you will be firm but fair, you will be smiley, but you will be firm to the perspective of you are in charge, you are in control. Over-promising creates pressure. Don't just say, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, and we're going to do this. You then would have to back up with doing all those things. Make sure that the things that you are saying you will do, you will do. You must be passionate about the promises that you keep and keep them. Confidence comes from clarity. Make sure that the students know what their homework is. So our trackers that we use, again, they're in the download links. Our student trackers are fundamental to this because the students can see what they're doing and the parents can see what they're doing. Make sure that there's clear notes for the students so that the parents know exactly what's going on. Module 10, reflective practice and growth. Teachers must improve continuously. If you're not pushing forward, then at some point the students are going to outgrow you. Reflection is a skill. Our system overall, as you will see in the full teacher training system, is that we refer to the overall feel of everything that we do is assessment-led. You can't teach students if you don't know and understand where they are at. Don't just teach at the students, teach with them. You have to meet them where they are cognitively, emotionally, and make sure that as you are teaching, you are observing at every step how they are getting on with that information. Because if it's just bouncing off them, they're not progressing. And as a result, they will now suffer from what we call compound confusion, which is whereby you're just speaking at, as opposed to making sure that they're following along. Teaching is a journey. Take your students with you. Don't just start lecturing and hope that they're taking it in. Feedback is information, not threat. Make sure that as you are explaining to the student how it could be improved even further, this is a good thing. As I said before, you're not saying to them, that was terrible. It's a far more a case of it, oh, that's great. I like the way that you counted yourself in. It'll be even better if you keep listening to the metronome, to the track, to the drums, whatever the case is, and so on. Positive reinforcement, well timed, well structured, and well chosen. Above all, the teacher must be the fastest learner in the room. If your students are supposed to be following along with what you're doing, but you're not learning from them, you're not learning where they are at, and constantly being dynamic with that, adapting your input to them, adapting your speed, your tone of voice, your volume, your placement in the room, where you are physically, where you are looking, the delivery method that you are using, the teaching modality. Are you using a visual exercise, an oral exercise, and so on? All these factors come in. You must be the fastest learner in the room. You will see so much more of this in the full training. Module 11, ethical teaching and power awareness. Authority must be handled consciously. Avoid emotional dependency and over-identification. And what we mean by that is, when I say to you, be positive with your students, if they're making mistakes, you cannot keep oh, it was great, don't worry, we'll try again. Oh, well, don't worry about that, we'll try it again. That was really good, that was. If they're just not progressing, the students will lose trust in you. Teaching is stewardship, not control. You are guiding them. Long-term well-being matters more than short-term results. You have a responsibility to the overarching progress of your students, both from a confidence point of view, from a teaching perspective, a musicality perspective if you're teaching music, because of course these skills are true for all subjects. We must make sure that we are helping the students to have a level of self-awareness and independence in their own progression so that they can not overly start to compare themselves against others, but at least be aware of what a great performance looks like. What is a professional performance? You know, there are albums that I know that are professionally released that have errors in them, and they kept the errors in because somebody didn't spot it, for example, or they preferred the bizarre version anyway. Module 12, the dynamic music teacher philosophy, standards, and the Presto mission. What standards do we refuse to compromise on? As a teacher, as a teacher, as an individual, but also the school within which you teach. What will you always uphold? So for example, at Presto Music School, we are passionate about inclusivity, and inclusivity is not who you have in the room. Of course, that includes that, and this is vital. Yes, of course, if you want to be known as an inclusive teacher, then it is distinctly probable that you will consider every gender, every race, every creed, and so on. But inclusivity really is far more wide-ranging than that, because inclusivity speaks to who is in the room and how learning goes on in that room once everybody is in there. Because it's distinctly possible to be inclusive of gender and race and age and creed and so on, and then actually exclude every single learner in the room because you didn't teach them in a way that they understood best. This isn't about catering to every single possible nuance, but it is about assessment-led learning. Are you the fastest learner in the room? And the mission at Presto is about ensuring that we are mindful of these things and that we push our standards to the highest possible level for maximum joy, and therefore that high quality tuition plus the fun that they have in class creates the success. And that is why we have fantastic results from the students. This is why we have such a long-term value of the student and to the student. Yes, the students are worth financially a lot to the school because it's a business as well, but also think of the value that we bring to that student and their parents, their families, and so on. So it's a mutual value. That quality of tuition, that fun added together creates success. And that is what we are all about at Presto. So what ethos guides your daily decisions in the school that you are working with? Of course, that mission will echo across everything that you do, but you also have your own personal thoughts on this. And this is why, especially at Presto, when we take on a new teacher, we want to know who they are, what fires them up, what excites them. And therefore we're buying into that teacher as well. And we want their joy, their passion, their individuality within the framework of the school, but we encourage the character, the personality of the teacher to come out, to shine, whether it be choice of pieces within the framework of the curriculum, however it may be, so long as it sticks to the standard expectations you would want for the school, then we're all right. And when you teach here at Presto, you represent that culture. So we want to make sure that we're all online with that. And again, the full documentation of everything that we're talking about is in the link below. So finally, if you want that full induction framework, you've not downloaded it already, click below. It's got safeguarding links, training pathways, supporting documentation. You can download the full pack below. This is where professional teaching begins, my friends. We're delighted to be working with Alfred Music on this, and we look forward to working with you all in the future. Make sure that you have subscribed and contacted us through our Facebook support group as well, to ensure that you're gaining all the resources and updates as they are released. We'll see you next time.